everyone, this is Xanthi and welcome to my channel In Two Pieces. Now today I'm going to talk about unicorn puzzles, and I'm not talking about puzzles with unicorns on them, though I have done a few of those. I'm talking about puzzles that have been elusive, hard to get, and taking me years of searching, and ones that I still haven't gotten. But anyway, we'll get to that. So these opinions are mine, but I want to point out that for me, there's a difference between unicorn puzzles and wish list puzzles. Now, for me, the difference is wish list puzzles tend to be the ones where they're still available out there. They're often on my wish list. Sometimes they're on my wish list for a long time because they're a bit expensive, and that can be expensive because they're from a small brand, small overseas brand a lot of the time. So shipping is quite expensive. The item itself might be quite expensive because that could be limited edition. Good example of that for me is Cloudberries. They did one called Nocturnal, which is a glow-in-the-dark puzzle, and it's absolutely beautiful. I love glow-in-the-dark, but I also love the nocturnal image. It's got like bats and other like nocturnal animals on it, and that is what they call small batch, their small batch line, and they seem to have a few of them. But I have seen it on sale, and it is on Amazon Australia, but from the UK. And I don't know how many were produced in their small batch, but probably enough to sort of really hike up the prices. And unfortunately, that one, if I look at my notes, when you convert things into Australian dollars, that's $70, which is a lot to pay for a puzzle, particularly a cardboard one. It's not a wooden puzzle. Those ones do tend to cost a bit more. So that's one that it's on my wish list. I could buy it if I had the funds, or I could justify paying $70. You know, it's there as a dream. Maybe, you know, maybe if I sell a whole heap of puzzles and get the money that way, and I could purchase it. But that, to me, is a wish list puzzle. Another wish list puzzle that's quite high up there on my list is by Treffle. It's one of their wooden puzzles, and I could not for the life of me find what the title is. So I'm just going to call it Cooking Up Trouble because that's what it's got on it. The only place I could find it again is on Amazon Australia. I have a few of the other Treffle wooden ones, and although they were expensive for a wooden puzzle, and it's about 505 pieces, so for a wooden puzzle that's actually quite large. Like I said, I do have some of the other sort of Disney villain ones that they came out with, and although they were pretty pricey, they were still reasonable for a wooden puzzle. But there's something about this particular one, the price has never dipped. And on Amazon, it's $75 Australian. Oh, that's a lot. And I kind of, at this point, can't feel like I can justify it, even though Disney villains is my thing. It's one of my favorite themes. So that one is just, I'm keeping an eye on it on my wish list. So they are the two prime examples of wish list. Now, unicorn puzzles for me is they're older. Usually they're older. They're out of print. It's a little bit hard to gauge whether a puzzle is out of print or not with some of these brands, because just when you think, well, that's an older puzzle, I haven't seen it around, then all of a sudden they'll re-release it, like Ravensburger seems to have done that on and off. But this one, there was one that I was searching with unicorn puzzles. Sometimes even no amount of money that you have might not help you find that puzzle. It's just difficult. Yeah, like I said, it could be very old, could be a couple of years old, it could have been a small run, it could be out of print. For whatever reason, certain puzzles have just been hard to get. Now, I try not to have a big unicorn puzzle list. I have a few. I'm not going to go through them all here. But recently I had I had a bit of a win. Now, a puzzle could be a unicorn puzzle for various reasons. And the reason this one was a unicorn puzzle is because it was part of a series. And I really loved the series. And it turned out that I had all but one. And I'm talking about the brand Hey. And the artist was Jane Crowther. And it was these cat puzzles that I've got here next to me. Now, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe the little 1/500 there, in the series. And some of them I managed to get new, still in their shrink wrap. Others I had to find secondhand. I think there's one with a damaged piece, but that didn't bother me because, you know, these are really sought after. Obviously, there's a lot of cat people out there who are also jigsaw puzzlers. And I didn't have too much trouble finding most of these. I managed okay. But there was one that was eluding me, and it was Meadow Cat, which is this top one here. Now, I realize all of these puzzles in this range are kind of difficult looking, obviously, because of their background, and you've got the fur, you've got limited color. So, you know, I haven't done any of them yet. But when I get down to it, I'm sure it is going to challenge me. But I think it'll be worth it because they really are just so beautiful. But for some reason, Meadow Cat eluded me. Like, I don't see a year on it. I really wish more. Oh, here we go. No, 2015-16. There's 2 copyright dates on that. So about 10 years old. You wouldn't think a puzzle that was 10 years old be all that hard, but oh my goodness, I struggled with Meadow Cat. So posted online, you know, in the groups, you know, looking for this puzzle, and it took years, absolutely took years. And finally someone saw it, my post, and said they had it, they hadn't done it, but when they had done it, they would sell it to me and post it off to me. And so I'm very grateful that I finally have it. There was a copy of this Meadow Cat on eBay at one stage, but I was outbid right at the last minute from what I can remember, so I missed out on that. But that was a win for me, and that was for a puzzle that's, you know, only about 10 years old. So the other reason that you might have a unicorn puzzle is because it's got nostalgia worth to you. And there is one puzzle that has very strong nostalgia for me, and which is so elusive that I haven't been, not only have I not been able to find it, but I haven't even been able to find a picture of it online, which just blows my mind. And I've tried all sorts of searches and what have you. It is a Basil Brush 100-piece puzzle. I can't remember the brand. That is a problem. I think it might have come out in the late 70s, perhaps the early 80s. So this to me was a childhood puzzle. When I was a child, I didn't have many puzzles. I remember having this puzzle, and it was in quite a small box, being only 100 pieces. And I think the box was mostly purple. And the funny thing is that in my mind's eye, I can actually still see the image because I did it so many times. I did it over and over and over the years. And honestly, I don't know what ended up happening to this puzzle. I have no memory of that. I do wish I still had it, just for, sort of, memories attached to it. So that one is one that I'm still looking for. Now, if you're not familiar with Basil Brush, he is a puppet character of a fox, and he had his own TV show. He was from Britain, so Australia, especially in the 70s as well, we had a lot of British shows and British children shows and whatever, and it was a comedy. But yeah, he was a puppet, and I just absolutely loved him. And this image, it was of a haunted house in the background. Basil was at the front. I think he might have been carrying a suitcase. I'm not sure on that. But off onto the left side of the picture was this a tree. It was very sort of gnarled, and mind you, this is all cartoony style. And it was I think it had a full moon in the background with a branch going across it and an owl sitting on top. And I think there was little sort of peering eyes through the tree, and there was like a little hollow at the bottom of the tree, and I think there was eyes peering out of there. And there was like a winding path going up to the haunted house in the background, and I think the haunted house was kind of dilapidated looking. And I think from what I remember, there was a bit of a signpost, a wooden signpost, I think, pointing towards the haunted house, and it was maybe in the shape of a finger pointing or an arrow or something like that. This is how I remember it. And if you're watching this video and you know the puzzle that I'm talking about, and if you found a photo of it, please let me know. I would just love to be able to even just see it again. Never mind actually owning it again. But yeah, that has a lot of good memories for me from doing it over and over. But I had another childhood puzzle, and I think this one was when I was a little bit older, and by that I mean probably my sort of primary school age, maybe about 10 to 12 years of age, something like that. And it was a Muppet one. Now, the Muppet one was one that we had for years, and I remember my sisters also doing it with me. And if they're watching this video, they might know which one I'm talking about. Anyway, I didn't even know what it was called. I sort of put it out there I think on Instagram. It was like ages ago, and someone said, "Oh, that sounds like a Springbok." Now, Springbok aren't that common in Australia, and this one, it turned out, was a Miss Piggy one. It was called America's Heartthrob, and it was one that we had. I don't know how my parents found it, because again, Springbok wasn't popular here, but I think it was at the time that the Muppet movie came out, and it got big because this puzzle, I think, came out in about 1980, 1981. And I was of the right age to really get into the Muppets when they came out. So I went to see the Muppet movie in the cinemas when I was a child, and I watched the TV series, and still to this day I'm a Muppet fan. But this particular puzzle, yeah, we did it over and over again, because again, we didn't have many puzzles, and I really enjoyed it. It is a difficult one because there's a lot of hair. There is so much hair involved in this puzzle, and the sequence dress as well. There's a lot going on there, repeat sort of patterns and what have you. But I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And it was one I knew that I really wanted to be able to do it again. But again, I don't know what ended up happening with this puzzle. But anyway, I've had no luck here in Australia. And then I saw someone on Instagram posting up this puzzle that they had done. And I made the comment saying, you know, this is one of my unicorns. You know, I live in Australia. Springbok's not very popular here. And finding an older Springbok is, you know, very, very difficult. And she offered to actually send me her copy. Now, she, being Puzzle Diva, and I do believe she's in New York City, and I sort of said, well, it does cost a lot shipping wise, you know, from the US to Australia with puzzles. So we came to the compromise that she would send it to me without the box. Now, obviously, I would love to have had the box, but I was thrilled just to have the puzzle. So I said, fine, you know, she paid the shipping as well, which was really kind of her. And here it is. I have it. I finally have it. And I am just so thrilled. And of course with Springbok, and I heard that the newer Springboks aren't as good as the older Springboks. These pieces are so thick. They're so thick. From what I remember, the actual fit was really snug. Like you could really like pick it up in that. So I'm excited for it. And they're not too glossy either. There is a bit of a random cut element to them, which I had forgotten about, because random cut I think is a very American thing. It's not as sort of popular here in Australia. So I think that's going to challenge me. But yeah, I'll pop up a picture of like some of the piece shapes so you know what I'm talking about. So yes, I now have this gorgeous puzzle. I did look up the back of the puzzle box, because from my memory there was like humorous things on the back of it, and I will pop up a picture of it, and I was right. There is humorous things there, so that was nice to reacquaint myself with that. So yeah, so I am so excited to do this one. And I did then look up, there's a website that actually lists other Muppet Springboks. I think probably the same vintage as this one. And oh my goodness, I would love to have some of those. I don't think it's ever going to happen unless someone else takes from the USA takes pity on me. But yeah, it was really exciting, and I've had this for a while. I just wanted to pick the right moment to sit down and do one of my puzzle unicorns. So I shall share some footage of me doing it, and then I'll come back and give you my thoughts. And I just want to say that even when I just opened up the pieces, the bag, and transferred it into a Ziploc bag and was just looking at the pieces, the memories just came flooding back, and it was just such a nice feeling to sort of have this puzzle again. So let's get into it. Well, that was a load of fun. Yeah, I was taken right down memory lane doing this puzzle. And there was a few details that I remembered from when I was doing this as a child. And one of them was the glittery, the sequence dress. And I remember studying it really carefully to do, noting where there was white sort of sequence that was reflecting, ones that were mixed in with the feather boa, others that were reflecting pink and purples, really having to study that detail to do it. And I guess that just shows you maybe where my jigsaw puzzling skills began, maybe from yeah, just that attention to detail, which is definitely a good skill to have when you're doing jigsaw puzzles. But it was interesting though, because doing it now as an adult, that dress gave me no problems. I just, sped through it, and the feather boa down the bottom, that wasn't any problem. Had a bit more problem with the hair, which I expected. Now, because I didn't have the box, it made this whole puzzle a bit more difficult, but particularly the hair. Now, my partner Marcus, he had printed out the box image for me, but unfortunately, we couldn't get a really good resolution of it. So, this printout was more like a bit of a general sort of layout of the whole image. It didn't really have enough clear detail of the curls and the shading of the hair. So it wasn't that much of a help when I was doing the hardest part of this. Um, but still, I worked away at it and I finished it. And as a child, my sisters and I still managed it because we did this puzzle over and over again. Um, but yeah, it was so much fun. Now you will see from the footage, if you might notice that I was really trying hard to push these pieces in because the fit is so snug and these pieces are so thick that I really had to push them in to get them to fit. And that was difficult as an adult. So I can imagine as a child, that would have been even more difficult. But then the flip side means that, you can do this with this puzzle. So yeah, it's got a very, very snug fit, very good quality. I am so happy to have been able to do this one again after decades of not even seeing it in person. So this one's a keeper, and very, very happy to have done it. Now, I would just love to hear if you've got any unicorn puzzles. What are you looking for? But most importantly, I want to know why it's your unicorn puzzle. What's the desire behind it, and also what are some of the roadblocks that you've experienced trying to find your unicorn puzzle, or did you find your unicorn puzzle, and how did you go about it? Um, if you have enjoyed going on this trip with me down memory lane, please hit the like button. And if you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing. It does help my channel to grow and for other people to discover it. And if you are already a subscriber, and there's at least 400 of you so far, thank you so much. I am so grateful that you're coming along with me on this adventure of doing a YouTube channel. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and that you will join me for the next one, which will be soon. Thanks very much. See ya.